Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm the Jersey Angel, your guy from the sky with some Yu-Gi-Oh info on the fly, and today I'm going to be doing something that I don't really think I've ever really done before. At least not for this channel. I'm deciding to go ahead and open a brand new set of Yu-Gi-Oh cards called the Legendary 5D's deck. For those of you who are Yu-Gi-Oh fanatics, and in many other ways to explain it, this is based off of the Yu-Gi-Oh 5D series, focusing on three of the duelists, who just happen to be some of the greatest duelists of their era. Most notably, we have everybody's favorite 5D's girl, Akiza. And yes, I have a figurine to show off of her, basically off of the board game that came out a little while back. That's one of the decks. The other deck belongs to this guy, Yusei. Yeah, the main hero of the entire story. Although, is it weird that his father was responsible for a lot of the mess in that show in the first place? Yeah, maybe not. And Crow. Yeah, I don't actually have a Crow figurine around here. But I do have a little guy back there if you want to see him. Hey, little buddy. You got a little Millennium Puzzle over here? That's right. But anyway, let's get started. Okay, so I got this set up right now. As you can see, oh, wait a minute. Don't worry about that wire, it's nothing. So, as you can see, I have a giant-sized Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern Day mat, which has the pendulum zones in the spell trap zones, and we have all this other zones here. But alright, time to get serious. I'm gonna try to zoom in a little bit. Just can you do it? Okay, so let's go ahead and open this up. Now, I should let you all know that I'm trying to record from this angle here. And I'm hoping this voicing gets through, but we'll see. So, yeah, as you can imagine, I went over to Target and picked this up, and I think on one of the days that I went, they were restocking the shelves. I mean, that's kind of what happens after a bit. But they take away what doesn't get sold, and they just return it. I guess it's just to make way for the new products. Regardless, I wasn't able to get this that day because, well, there was a line out the door for it, wouldn't you know it. But the day after, I returned to Target and I picked it up. Right before the snowstorm happened. Yeah, this was basically like the one last big weekend here for the big old blizzard here in New Jersey. So, yeah, folks, keep in mind, this is not as easy as it looks. I'm doing what I can to... Oh. There's tape. There's tape. Okay, I know I have something around here. Hold on 1 second, folks. Alright. Yeah, can I find something around here? Hey, down! Down! Thank you. I got scissors. Or maybe I prefer this. This is my D-Day letter opener. And no, I didn't live on D-Day, but I think it's my anniversary for that moment. But, okay. This isn't working. I think the last time I opened a booster box and tried to make a video out of it was when I got the Synchro Storm booster box. I didn't get the Baron de Fleur, whatever they call it, but I did get a Ghost Rare Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Oh wait, no, Crystal Clear Wing Synchro, that's... Yes, folks, I'd say do not try this at home, but I think I picked out one of the most ridiculously boxed things here. Let's see if I can get it going. Yay! I think I got it. Well, just make sure. Let me put the tape down for a minute. I don't know. Am I going to be able to get music for this? Probably not. Probably not. Yes, if somebody out there says how to not open a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh packet box, please let me know. I don't mind if I get laughed at for this. I gotta say, maybe this is a little bit overkill. But, oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I'll just put this up there. Yes, I have a brand new tripod at the moment. In fact, just to give you an idea. Yep, go ahead. I'm wearing Grinch pants. Maybe you'll see it one day. But for now, no. Okay, so judging by the cover card here, we have Junk's Full Speed Warrior, which is apparently the retrain for the original Speed Warrior. If you recall, it can gain double the attack points once it's summoned, but only that one time. So, go figure. That's you saying. This here looks to be Crow's deck with the Blackwing cards. Now, I think there's also one more here that we got. We also have Akiza's deck featuring Miracle Fertilizer. Does anybody even use that card anymore? And what we're also here for, the adorable little chibi cards, which I'm going to go ahead and open here. First the box was so hard to open, and now this. I have opened tons of packaging. How is this so tricky? Oh. Cuckoo. There we go. I'm gonna put it inside a book. I got some books around here. I don't know how well I'm gonna do with this, but if any of you feel like I should make another Yu-Gi-Oh video based off of a test duel, let me know. I got a couple more ideas I want to get out there. And now, let's get to it. So obviously we have the cute little Stardust Dragon. And for all of those who aren't familiar with this guy, he is Yusei's signature Signer Dragon. There's apparently 6 dragons that bear the mark of the Crimson Dragon, which I don't have on me on hand, but I do happen to have a monster right now that actually has some relation to it. This, the Shining Star Dragon. I guarantee there would be plenty of people playing this if they knew what it was good enough to do. But hey, anyway, for Stardust Dragon here, its ability actually stands out. It's a dragon level 8 synchro monster that requires a tuner or one or more non-tuner monsters. And it reads... even as I'm recording this, I'm trying to make sure everybody can read it. But just for those who can't, when a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card on the field, quick effect, you contribute this card, negate the activation, and destroy it. During the end phase, if this effect was activated this turn and was not negated, thankfully, you could special summon this card from your graveyard. Now the caveat of that is, if you special summon this any other way but synchro summoning, and you sacrifice it, you can't get it back from the graveyard. That's kind of upsetting, but you know what? It's a proper trade-off. And next, right underneath our little friend is everybody's favorite little, everybody's Oh, is that Rocket Man going on in the background? Regardless, Black Rose Dragon. Wow. Aw, that's so cute. That's adorable. So is Akiza. Anyway, so this card is a level 7 dragon synchro monster with a falling effect. When it's synchro summoned, it destroys all other cards in the field of your choice. Actually, you could just choose not to, honestly, but once per turn, you can banish one plant monster from your grave, then target a defense position monster your opponent controls, and change that target to face-up attack position, and if you do, its attack becomes 0 until the end of the turn. Well, I guess that would be cool, but nowadays the only decks we ever have to worry about with any face-down capabilities is Subterror, and I don't really see people playing that anymore. I think I see them playing Mimikul. And obviously, to continue the trend of which the duelist gets the chibi cards, we have this, the Blackwing Dragon. Oh, and I guess kind of to the point, these chibi cards honestly do look adorable. In fact, I happen to have a box around here that has a little chibi on the side. Yeah, I got this thing back then. cute little dark magician girl in the corner. And I think on the other side supposed to be Kaiba with his chibi blue eyes. I'm currently in the process of trying to get this one from a friend. More on that later. Regardless, Black Winged Dragon is a level 8 Synchro Monster Dragon type, and it requires 1 tutor whatever. So, if you would take damage from a card effect, place 1 Black Feather counter on this card instead. This card loses 700 attack for each Black Feather counter on it. Once per turn. Okay. Sorry. Now I'll just read it from here. Obviously, I'll just read it from my angle because I can actually see it better this way. So once per turn, you can remove all Black Feather counters from this card. Hit target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls. That target loses 700 attack for each Black Feather counter removed. So, obviously, if it does, then you can inflict damage equal to the attack lost by this effect. So, yeah. By all accounts, if you decide to try to burn your opponent while your opponent just happens to have this thing out, he can keep getting counters and he can pretty much wipe you out if he gets enough of them. But I don't know, given how powerful the other form of it, Blackwing Assault Dragon is, it's highly unlikely you'll get to see this guy in play without it being utilized as much. Then again, it has been utilized to great effect before, so... And I think this is like the last Signer Dragon that showed up in the series. Or it might have actually came before Power Tool's other Evolved Form livestream. I haven't really seen the anime as much as I wanted to. I think I got up to maybe like half the Dark Signer arc. This is unfortunate. Oh! But next up on our list of awesome, cute little chibi cards, we have the titular hero himself, Yusei Fudo. Aw, he's got a cool little dual rider. He's got a little card in his hand. It's time to rev it up! I honestly like this, but it almost feels like he's got a normal sized head, but now his body's pretty much just trying to match the chibi aesthetic. I actually kind of find that hilarious. But regardless, I'm just gonna move everybody down here. I'm gonna try to put them together. Yeah. Okay. And next up we have, obviously we have Akiza with her awesome looking red hair and red coat, and I think the animators kind of knew what they were doing. This is adorable, but to be honest, it almost looks like it's just the upper half of her body. You know, I feel like they just cut off the upper half of her body and says, you're all good, this can pass as chibi. But I'm not going to complain too much. It's not that bad. Alright. But finally, we have Crow. Look at him. He's got that cool little grin. Isn't that nice? He's the guy who saves everybody at Satellite. Well, he's kind of like one of those guardian angel kind of characters, which is almost fitting given his card's aesthetic with feathers. Regardless, I think this actually looks pretty cool. Probably a little bit better than the other two in terms of chibi quality, but well, again, what do I know? Okay, so I think it's more, I guess it's more fitting to see just who's going to be coming up next. In just a little bit, I'll be right back. I'm going to get the other figurines. Okay, I got the other figurines out. So, right there, for all of those who can't really see, I guess I got to kind of move over there a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I'm working with this tripod that I got for Christmas. So that's Luna and Jack right there. I have a deck based off of Jack's cards, like the Crimson cards, and I can't wait to see the brand new ones that just came out. I'm also trying to rebuild a deck for Luna because, you know, she's honestly one of my favorite characters. I mean, she's got a lot of the spirit beast behind her. And yes, if you might have noticed, I also happen to have quite some stuff going on over there. I also have that cool little golden sarcophagus tin there too. And one of the cards that I got from the legendary, I believe that's the Mega Pact 2025. Yeah, I got that Synchro Monster Senpai 10 Dragon. And don't worry, he's not broken. He's not really supposed to be there right now, but this thing, watch out for him in Master Duel. He is broken. Well, not really. Not really. He's Scarecrow to beat him. That's hilarious. But regardless, there we go. This is what happens when you're the only one who actually works on this thing. You know, it's kind of a... This is what happens when you're the one-man camera crew. Regardless, let's go ahead and open up... you know what? I'm going to start with Crow first. So as per usual, I got to find the little spot here that kind of has this opening point. Going fast makes me feel alive. Heartbeats in hyperdrive. You think you can win only if you lose. Just let destiny choose. Hope the copyright doesn't strike me. I can't feel my heart bound with all that beauty there staying around. I'm sorry I'm not able to fancily edit this sort of thing because I'm not exactly that far with it. So, okay, there we go. So I can read the card from here, alright? Sorry about that, that's just some folks living at home. I'm kidding. It's my mom, God bless her soul. She's honestly one of the kindest women out there, probably one of the kindest mothers. Like, you couldn't ask for a better one in some cases. Regardless, let's get to it. So, we have Blackwing, Value the Emblem of Honor. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this from the older days of 5D's. So, yeah, I wouldn't exactly be seeing this guy in play, but I don't know, maybe somebody could actually be nice enough to give him a chance. Of course, the monster's effect is negated when you use this thing for synchro material, but it's not that bad. Next we got Icarus Attack. Go ahead and take a good look at it. Basically, it's, what do I call it? It basically destroys 2 cards on the field, not just 1. It's kind of like 2-prong attack, but a little bit better. We have Blackbird Close, which is actually pretty cool to use. If you use this in synchro, if you use this from your hand, that could be pretty funny. It's a hand trap, but I don't know how well anyone can utilize it. And this guy, Armor Master. Pretty cool card, and honestly, he was probably one of the best contendent cards to be out there. I also remember Snoop Dogg using this card at one point. Really nice and shiny. I got others too. Next I have Nuthon the Starlight. I'm sure everybody's familiar with his double normal summon slash burn damage routine. This guy hurt many a duelist back in the day. Then we have the cute little Gale the Whirlwind. Aside from some form of adorability, he can cut a monster down in half. Literally. But moving forward, we have Bora the Spear. Yeah, he's a big drill. Never make him the dentist or he'd give you a lot of trouble. Next week, oh wait, this is not a Blackwing card, is it? No, this is Droll and Lock Bird. So for those who are completely aware by this point, there are a lot of duelists with a lot of hand traps nowadays. And this is one of them. If a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the draw phase, that's right, they can normally draw, that's fine, then this becomes a quick effect. You can send this card from your hand to the grave, and for the rest of the turn, cards cannot be added from either player's main deck to the hand. So yeah, this can kinda stun the opponent even for a little, so let's say somebody tried to use Max C on you. Max C being the card that, as long as your opponent keeps special summoning cards, you can continue to draw cards. This is pretty much the antithesis to it. But combine this thing with Trickstar Reincarnation, and man, your opponent will not know what to do. You know, unless you just happen to be a Malice deck player. Not even kidding. I've seen this thing in Crispy Synchron's video at one point. Oh, and the Snoop Dogg Blackwing Resonant reference, that's from Roselle X. I'm sure a lot of people will get to know those two sooner or later. Regardless, we got a second Droll and Lock Bird. So we got another Blackwing here now, Chris the Crack of Dawn. This thing can't be destroyed by spell or traps once per turn. Pretty cool, and it's a 1900 attack beater. Not bad for a level 4. I'm gonna put this down just to make it myself easier. Oh, okay, so this is someone I actually haven't seen before. To be honest, after collecting so many Yu-Gi-Oh cards in my time, I can't really figure out exactly what all the other cards do, and this is one of them. This is Blackwing Sharnga, the Waning Moon? I think I heard the Waxing Moon somewhere. So, according to this thing, it's a level 2 Winged Beast Tuner monster with the following effect, and 500 attack and defense. So, what does this do? If a monster with 2000 or more attack is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand only. Okay? You can special summon this card only once per turn this way. And if you control a Blackwing Synchro monster, this is a quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a face-up card your opponent controls, and destroy it. But the caveat is that you can only use this effect once per duel. So even if you brought it back a second time and tried to banish it a second time, you actually can. But that's pretty interesting. I can see why so many duelists would have had a hard time dealing with the Synchro monsters. That's actually not bad. So we have Orochi the Squall, pretty common monster honestly. This thing's actually pretty cool. He's tiny. Although, what is that little goalie thing right there? Moving on. Harmattan the Dust. I can't tell. Is that supposed to be like a crow? Is it supposed to be like a stork that basically has long legs but just got himself some black tie-dye colors or something? Well, I'm not gonna claim it. Wait a minute. What is my duel mascot doing in there? Yeah, in Master Duel, I have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring as the mascot, the adorable little one that just hangs around during the duel. Not unlike a deck master. Though, sadly, she doesn't have any special abilities as the mascot in a sense, kind of wish she did, but she is considered one of the best hand traps by far. Obviously, Max C wouldn't work against her, not to mention there's a bunch of other effects that probably wouldn't work around her. Although, I kind of wish that they did some kind of synchronicity when this card is activated and you would have this monster as the mascot. Kind of wish that would be the case. Oh well, I can settle in for some giggles. Anybody else back? Of course, there's another Ash Blossom right there. So, moving right along. Oh boy. At the time of this recording, I am still exhausted from just getting up. So this is Simoon the Poison Wind. It's basically saying, hey, if you don't have anybody on the field, why not give me a spin? And the funniest thing is, he can actually be normal summoned without tributing. But to do this, you have to have no monsters on the field and play this card, have the card in your hand, but you must also have another Blackwing to banish it from your hand. Then place one Black Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone. Now you can either send this card to the graveyard, which nobody ever seems to do, or you can immediately summon this right after without tributing. But you can't special summon from the extra deck except dark monsters for the rest of the turn. Oh, and at the end phase, that Black Whirlwind that you work so hard to get out just so easily, it goes away and you take 1,000 points of damage. So make sure to have Zephyros the Elite on hand, which I gotta kind of see if he's in there. And, okay, so obviously, the creators of this deck, they have 3 Simoons in here. Honestly, that's pretty cool, but I would prefer my holographic cards here. Actually, hold on a sec, folks. I actually do... Oh, I'm just going to put that on the side for a bit. I happen to actually have those cards right on hand. Hold on a second, Oni. Here we go. So this here is my Blackwing deck. Now, I'll do a full video one day of what kind of build I actually have, and I hope nobody tries to copy it. But you can also see it has one of the titular Synchro monsters. But for now, I just want to show you the kind of Simoon cards that I have. I have one shiny Simoon right here in the deck. I believe the other 2 should be in here somewhere. Let's see. I've only found one so far. Okay, and oh, there it is. It's a purple letter, thankfully. That came from the Legendary Duelist packs. I like that color. And of course, Simoon the Poison Wind. honestly, it's kind of fitting that it has purple letters because it is saying poison. I wonder if the other one that I showed off earlier, though, had it. Nope, just gold letter. I would have preferred the purple letter, but that's okay. But moving right along, as Kermit would say, we have Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. Yet another adorable little yokai of sorts who can actually stop. Well, what can it do? So this card can, if an opponent special summons a monster face up, yes, face up, not face down, except during the damage step, you can discard this card, then target one of those face up monsters and negate its effects until the end of the turn. And if that monster just so happens to leave the field this turn, its controller ends up taking damage equal to its original attack. So yeah, I'm kind of surprised this doesn't make it out to people, you know? I mean, this thing doesn't seem to do that much in hindsight, but if you manage to negate one of the more powerful monster effects, you can knock some life points down for sure. It's intriguing to say the least. Next up, we have yet another Blackwing that I've never actually seen before. Vata, the Emblem of Wandering. So if Vatu, the Emblem of Honor, was used before, this guy's got to be different. Okay, regardless, it's a level 2 Winged Beast Tuner with 800 attack and a following effect. If a Blackwing monster other than Blackwing Vata the Emblem, like other than itself, if we control anybody other than him, we can special summon this card from the hand. Definitely a lot of special summoning, but you can only special summon him once per turn this way. During the main phase, we can send this card from the field to the graveyard along with one or more non-tuner Blackwing monsters from your deck, so that the total levels equal exactly 8. And if you do, special summon one Blackwing monster from your extra deck, and also you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except dark monsters. But you can only use this effect once per turn. So I'd like to point out the fact that this guy basically just looked at Vatu and is like, oh, I'm sorry, so you think you have a better option to get other monsters out? You were good for your time, bro. Now it's my turn. Either way, judging by the looks of it, it seems that there are 3 of these Vatas. Alright, well, I'm not going to complain about it. And then we got this card right here. I think I might already have this one. His name is Shamal the Sandstorm. So, with this card, it has 1600 attack, 4 stars, and it's a Winged Beast Tuner, and it has the following effect. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Place 1 Black Feather Whirlwind from your deck face up in your spell trap card zone. So it's kind of like Simoon the Poison Wind, only without having to, banish anything. If a Blackwing Synchro monster or Blackwing Dragon is special summoned to your field while this card's in your grave, except during the damage step, you can banish this card, target a Blackwing monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then take 700 damage. I'm not really sure why that's so... was that like an anime or something? Is that why the 700 damage thing applies? Why would they even have that? Why not just make it like 400 damage like Zephyros was? Regardless, you can only use the effect once per turn. And judging by what I'm seeing, it looks like there's 3 of these in there. Okay. Oh, but it looks like we're getting to the next one here. We have Chinook the Snow Blast. I am actually aware of this monster. I kind of have a shiny one already. So, the context of it is, it's a level 2 Winged Beast monster with 100 attack and 700 defense, and fitting for one of its parts of its effect, you can send this card from your hand or the field to the grave, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, send 1 Blackwing Synchro monster or 1 Blackwing Dragon from your extra deck to the graveyard, and if you do, until the end of the turn, the target monster loses 700 attack, also negates its effects. This is a quick effect if you control a Dark Synchro monster, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So obviously, it's another Blackwing hand trap that would be pretty good, assuming you can take on a monster that is targetable. And because they're nothing if not predictable, they happen to have 3 of these in there. Although nowadays, it kind of feels like having 3 of any card in the deck is not really adequate, but that's only the case for maybe a lot of monsters. But there are a few you'll need 3 copies of, like Sage with Eyes of Blue for a Blue Eyes deck, maybe 3 Magician Souls in the Dark Magician deck. I think those are staples. Regardless, we have next the other monster known as Suji, the Phantom Glitter. since I have this card myself, I'll kind of give you the details. When you use up your only normal summon for the turn, unless you have Nothung or some other card on the field, when this card's normal summoned, you can add a card that mentions Blackwing Dragon from your deck to your hand, except for, Sudri. But next, you contribute one monster, special summon a token called Phantom Glitter, which is going to be a Winged Beast Tuner Dark level 2, attack 700 and defense 700, but then you take 700 damage. Lucky 7s. You can't special summon for the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except for Synchro monsters, and you can only use this effect once per turn. And once again, just like almost every other Blackwing in this deck so far, we have 3 copies of Sudri. And apparently we have a monster that's not quite in place of the World of Blackwings, as we now have one of the Molcharmy cards. Just look how cute this is. Look how adorable it looks. It's not shiny, but you know what? Considering how many times I've seen this on Master Duel, I don't mind. But it's so cute. Look at this little bunny. So this is Molcharmy for Walos, a level 4 winged beast. Oh, it's a winged beast. I didn't even notice that the first time I saw it. But now, it's another one of those hand cards with 100 attack and 600 defense, of course. And it reads, if you control no cards, this is a quick effect. You can discard this card and apply the effects this turn. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from the deck or extra deck, and, I might add, immediately draw 1 card. Once, during this end phase, if the number of cards in your hand is more than the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, you must randomly shuffle cards from your hand into the deck so the number in your hand equals the number your opponent controls plus 6. You can only activate one other Molcharmy monster effect the turn you activate this effect. So, I want to try to say, I compare this to the Morganite cards, which, with Space Wrecking Morganite, yeah, it's been a while since I've even talked about that. Don't think I've ever talked about it, but I'm gonna put Molcharmy over there. He's just gonna chill over there, cute little guy. Next we have Mystical Space Typhoon, MST for short. Book of Moon, which is Bomb. Black Whirlwind, one of the staples for the Black Whirlwind deck, and it just only happens to have 2 copies. Personally, I play 3 because, that's kind of stationary for Blackwings. Next, we have the Forbidden Chalice. Drink up, everybody. You're just going to lose your effects for it. Next, we have a card that could stop Ash Blossom or any other hand trap, Call by the Grave. So, yeah, take a good look at it because that thing is it's deadly. Oh, and both players can't necessarily use it until the end of the next turn. Black Feather Whirlwind, the aforementioned card from Sudri, and I happen to have a copy myself. I think, was it shiny? Again, sorry folks for this. This is like my first time officially making a video for this, but let me see. So, yeah, I happen to have a shiny Black Feather Whirlwind right here. So, this is good stuff. And if anybody's unfamiliar with the card, once per turn, if you special summon a Dark Synchro monster from the extra deck, literally any Dark Synchro monster, except for during the damage step, you can target one of your Blackwing monsters or Blackwing Dragon that is either banished or in your grave with less attack than that special summon monster, and special summon it. Once per turn, if a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 Black Feather counter from your field instead. So just to give you context, Black Feather counters certainly mean a lot, especially when they're dual style. And let's just say that a couple cards we're about to get into actually make use of these feather counters for a good chunk of the duel. So that's my main deck. Moving forward, so let's move along. We got Delta Crow, which is basically yet another hand trap, well, sort of. If you control a Blackwing monster, you can destroy all face-down spells and traps your opponent controls. If you control exactly 3 Blackwing monsters, you can activate this card from your hand. So that's pretty interesting. Next, we have Twin Shadow, which is basically just another way of saying, hey guys, come on back, you're no longer banished, you're no longer in the grave, you're not digging 2 rows deep. Nope, you basically get a free Synchro summon out of this. And the best part is, if you control 2 or more Blackwing monsters, you can just use this thing from your hand. So like, you're basically recycling more of your cards by this point. And now it looks like we're finally getting into the Synchro monsters, at long last. So we have the classic Damage Piercer from the Blackwing's Arndwing, which I have to imagine is Bora given somewhat of an upgrade because of the hairstyle. I mean, let's face it, that's probably the lore by this point. Next, we have Silverwind the Ascendant. Well, while I can't really say that I've seen this card too many other times, this thing actually was pretty good back in its day. Though to be fair, its effect basically just prohibits you from using your battle phase the moment you activate this effect. But during each of your opponent's turns, the first Blackwing monster you control that would be destroyed by battle is not destroyed. Sadly, that effect has become lost and gone, but it's nice that Konami gave us this card again just to remind us that it exists. Also, the art style is pretty cool. Not many cards can sport that. Regardless, the next one is Blackwing Dragon, the titular Synchro Dragon, at least from Crow's standpoint. Yeah, I can't imagine why he didn't use this against, Gregor? Was it Gregor? Gregory? The guy with the Flying Fortress Skyfire. That deck was awesome. Get more support for that. But regardless, I believe this guy is pretty good on its own terms. If you remember earlier though, we did show like a shinier Blackwing Dragon. So he's pretty much there for the majority of the time. Next up is the evolved form of the Armor Master, Full Armor Master. So in this case though, it's kind of like a trade-off. It does lose its battle protection, but for the trade-off, it actually, to make up for that, he's unaffected by any other card effects. Now each time an opponent's monster activates its effect, this literally means each time, it places a wedge counter on that opponent's monster. You can only have one counter on those monsters at the time, when that effect resolves. Once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls with the wedge counter and you take control of it. Once per turn, during your end phase, you can destroy all monsters on the field that have a wedge counter. So, just for context, this thing loses battle protection, but it's protected against literally everything else. Now, if anybody were to say, combine this with Bian, one of the Yang Zing monsters out there, which actually, when used as synchro material that protects it from battle, you pretty much have an indestructible beast. Unless you get it tributed by a kaiju or something. Regardless, I think this thing is pretty much a powerhouse, though it doesn't really work with the whole black feather counter aesthetic. But next up we have the powerful looking Blackwing Assault Dragon. I think he's considered somewhat the better of the two. So for context, this thing must be either synchro summoned, using one tuner synchro monster or one or more non-tuner monsters, or special summon from your extra deck by banishing one tuner synchro monster and one Blackwing Dragon from your face-up field and or graveyard. Now, each time your opponent activates a monster effect, place a black feather counter on this card when that effect resolves, and if you do, it inflicts 700 points of damage to your opponent. During your opponent's turn, this is a quick effect, you contribute this card with 4 or more black feather counters on it, and it destroys all cards on the field. So it's not so much an assault, it's more like a grenade that supposedly goes off after a couple minutes. So your opponent better not be playing too many monster effects or they're going to have a very bad time. Well, let's just say it would end up yielding some explosive results. And as if having one of these things around wasn't enough, as I've seen many times, there's 2 of them. Yeah. This deck has 2 Black Feather Whirlwinds and 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons, which I actually am happy about because this means I get to incorporate these cards into my own deck and hopefully it could stand out to some of the better decks out there. But again, that's my personal preference. So who's the last 2 here? Well, the last 2 ironically are the same card, known simply as Boreas Storm, the Wicked Wind, a level 6 tuner monster who's also synchro. It requires a dark tuner and one or more non-tuner monsters, and if this card's synchro summoned, you can send a Blackwing monster from your deck to the grave. If you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster's. Oh, you can see where this is going. When this card destroys a monster at battle and sends it to the grave, you can banish one Blackwing monster from your graveyard or face up on the field, except the destroyed monster, and special summon the destroyed monster to your field in defense position, but you can only use each of these effects once per turn. So this is basically the equivalent of saying, alright, time to go full frontal assault on everyone and just bring out everything. So picture this, you have Boreas Storm, and just for context, let me go ahead and get the card out that actually makes sense. I've been saying Zevirus a couple of times already, so here's Zevirus. I just got him out of my deck. So this guy here, if he's in your graveyard, you can return one face-up card you control to your hand, special summon this card from the graveyard, and if you do, take 400 damage. 400! It's not that hard, Konami, but each player can only use the effect as a Virus Elite once per duel. Well, that's okay. Just use Boreas Storm, send Zevirus to the graveyard, then if you have Black Whirlwind out, presumably brought out by Simoon, you can bring this guy back, make Blackwing Dragon, and then get rid of Blackwing Dragon, you'll have Blackwing Dragon on the field, get rid of these two for Assault Dragon. And it isn't enough, and again, it isn't enough just to have one of these guys, you literally have two. Well, okay, in my case, there's two of them, so. And to finally show off one more card from my deck, I've got about two other cards to show you. I have my shiny Blackwing Assault Dragon. So, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one. And I also I'll show you some other cards later in a later video, maybe if you want me to do that. I'm kidding. Sorry, like I said, it's been a very exhausting morning. So this is my shiny Borea the Wicked Wind. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm glad now that I'm gonna have a playset of this. It'll be kind of fun to just keep playing off with these cards. But regardless, so that's it for the Blackwing cards. In the next part of the video, which I'm gonna be doing in just a couple seconds, we'll be moving on to Akiza. I'm looking at you, girl. Anyway, just give me a second here. I'll try to get another deck. Note to self, remember to weed garden. This here is my shiny Black Rose Dragon from the gold set. And this is now the next portion of the video featuring the opening of said deck. So it's kind of weird to me that this would show Miracle Fertilizer first. Don't get me wrong, it was good for its time, but I feel like nowadays the card doesn't really have that much potential. Well, unless you just happen to be playing some of the more bonus cards in this thing, but I digress. Regardless, alright, I'm gonna try to get as close as I can because the way I have this oh, it's my foot. I don't need foot. Okay, I'm in a better position now. I can't really clarify what it is, but basically from my angle, obviously we got the Miracle Fertilizer, a card that summons a plant monster from your graveyard, but you can't normal summon or set during the turn you special summon this with this effect. But if a monster special summoned by this effect leaves the field, it destroys Miracle Fertilizer. Well, I mean, not exactly the greatest thing to think about. But next we have the legendary Black Garden. I think many people would say that this card is pretty dangerous, especially considering its effect afterwards. And let's just say the next card isn't so dangerous. Basil Rose Shoot, which I see that works well extremely for the Rose Dragon archetype. We'll be getting into that in just a little bit. Regardless, if this set card's destroyed, you can target a Black Rose Dragon or a monster that mentions it from your banishment zone or graveyard and special summon it. But its main effect is to special summon a Rose Dragon monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Yeah, I can kind of see it working, so it is kind of dangerous. Then there's Blooming of the Darkest Rose. I'm just giving you some little pause fodder here. And then we have, for the other holographic, this. Paralis, the Empress of Blossoms. So it focuses mostly on getting plants out of the graveyard. She's basically somebody who loves to weed her own garden and also make it very pretty. I wonder how often we see this thing though. And coming up on it, I was expecting Black Rose Dragon to actually be the shiny one in this case, but it's okay. We got Lone Fire Blossom, and I'll mostly, as you saw with the Black Wings, I tend to stop over at the cards I'm not completely familiar with. I apologize to anybody who didn't actually get the full effect, so let me know in the comments exactly which cards that you want to see. I'll just give you the explanation of what the effects ultimately are. And there's also the Yugioh wikis out there, so please take advantage of them while you can. So, by all context, we have 3 Lone Fire Blossoms in this deck, which is actually a plant summoner from the deck, mind you, including itself, no less. Next, we have Witch of the Black Rose, which I always kind of thought it wouldn't be good. But I don't know, if you're lucky enough to draw a monster out, it would be probably better to keep this one out. I like the design though. Kind of reminds me of the Fortune Lady characters. No, not like the adult versions. I'm talking about like the younger versions. Next up, we have the cute little Spore. So that's always a staple. Why did they make that a Luna card later? Then they have Rose Lover. Hey, wait, isn't that the same character I keep chasing in Oven Break? Then we have Black Rose Dragon's smaller cousin, or sister I guess, Blue Rose Dragon. If it's destroyed, it can target a black-green Rose Dragon or plant monster from the grave and special summon it. And next we have another yokai monster, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. If something else on the field already activates its effect, you can send this card from your hand to the field to the grave and destroy it. Not negate, just destroy. But that doesn't really stop anything. Even with those two, it doesn't make sense to me. Next up, we have Red Rose Dragon. So this is honestly a pretty cool card. Definitely handy to, summon any other Rose Dragon from the deck, except itself, sadly. But again, I think this could go towards that one monster that I'm sure everybody's familiar with by this point. Like, say, the Black Rose Dragon Retrain. You'll see it in a minute. Regardless, it looks like we get 2 Red Rose. Oh, nope, we got a third one. We got a third one, folks. They really go all out giving out 3. And I guess the same goes for the whiter cousin, White Rose Dragon. Okay, somebody say in the comments if they're cousins or not, because it's kind of weird for me to be even saying that. Regardless, this is yet another card that would be beneficial to those who are building a pure Rose Dragon build. Not that that's easy or anything. And it looks like the World of the Ghost continues to make its way into every deck, as this thing is known as Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. Now, I've seen this card, but I've never really understood its abilities. So, during either turn, except for the end phase, ironically, you can discard this card and apply the effect. Each time your opponent special summons an effect monster during the main phase or battle phase, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack points. But if you did not gain life points by this effect, your life points are halved during the end phase. So, yeah, I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not entirely sure how that would work. Well, although it'd be kind of funny to actually play this against somebody else. Like, say maybe Mitsurugi, or Raziel, or, I don't know, maybe the Fiendsmiths? Actually, that'd be pretty funny. I can only imagine somebody trying to play Exodia or something and they just activate this. Like, the minute you sacrifice this card, once the monster's special summoned, you can gain life points to that and your opponent would literally just stop. Like, I think if you combine this in tandem with Max C, you should be able to get life points and get a new card. Sure, they'll draw and lock you out, but maybe you'll get a little bit more of an advantage. I'm just saying. Oh, this is different. Huh. Who's this one? This is the Rose Princess, a level 3 plant monster with 1200 attack and 800 defense. Excuse me. So, if your opponent is the only one who controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. And if you special summon it this way, you treat it as a tuner. But you can only use special summon her once per turn this way. But if you discard this card instead, you can add a White Rose Cloister from your deck. Now that one I'm familiar with, as well as this Rose Girl here. Then we have Rock's Rose Dragon, which apparently there are also 3 copies of. I have shinier variants. And of course we have the Ruddy Rose Witch. I've never really understood this card. Maybe I might have seen it or two. Regardless, it's a level 1 plant tuner monster with 800 attack and 1700 defense. Not really sure why that works. But you contribute this card and add 1 Witch of the Black Rose from your deck to your hand. If you do, take 1 level 3 or lower plant monster from your deck and place it on top of the deck. And then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 Witch of the Black Rose from your hand. Okay, so this kind of makes up for the fact that the the Witch of the Black Rose didn't exactly have the greatest effect. So that makes sense. I'm glad to hear that. So regardless, when this card's banished from the graveyard, well, you can banish it yourself. You can return 1 Black Rose Dragon or Ruddy Rose Dragon that is banished or in your graveyard to the extra deck. And you can only activate this effect once per turn. So yeah, if the whole Ruddy Rose thing didn't get your attention, there's a synchro monster called Ruddy Rose Dragon, which honestly is pretty dangerous if you know how to play it correctly. And there just happens to be 3 copies of this one. And of course, we're getting our 3rd Molcharmy card. Second. Wow, I'm really messing up on myself. Regardless, and I'm saying that a lot, forgive me, but this here is the Molcharmy Meowless. Meowless? I never really pronounce it right. Regardless, anyway, this is a level 4 beast monster with 100 attack and 600 defense, and it reads, if you control no cards, this is a quick effect, you can discard this card and activate these effects this turn. Each time your opponent special summons a monster from any graveyard or banishment, immediately draw 1 card. Not really great unless you just happen to be facing off with something like, say, Burning Abyss. Once per turn once during the end phase actually, if the number of cards in your hand is more than the number of cards your opponent controls, you must randomly shuffle cards from your hand into the deck so your number in your hand equals to the number your opponent controls plus 6. And like the other Molcharmy before her, you can only activate 1 of the Molcharmy monster effects the turn you activate this ability. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, but I do like the design. It's nice and adorable. I'll just put them over there. Next, we have gone on to the spell cards. It looks like you got Monster Reborn, Terraforming, Miracle Fertilizer again, because why not? And Black Garden again, Fragrance Storm, Thorn of Malice, the Frozen Rose, and the White Rose Cloister as mentioned earlier. If this card is here, and if you control no monsters, you can special summon 1 Rose Dragon monster or plant monster from your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. During your draw phase before you draw, you can declare a card, monster, spell, or trap, reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is the declared card type, then you can apply this effect for the rest of the turn, even if White Rose Cloister is somewhat leaving the field. Level 7 or higher synchro monsters you control gain 1,000 attack points. So, I guess this thing could work for any synchro deck, but to be fair, you're not exactly going to be winning any fights if you can't supply the right kind of monster for this. But next up we have Basil Rouge Shoot, as we said before. Then we have one of the better hand traps of the era, Infinite Impermanence. And yes, this is exactly what you would think it is. This is Infinity getting hit down in Cyber Dragons. This thing is pretty dangerous, but not so dangerous if you're just playing it from the hand. If you're playing it face down, however, yeah, I think the opponent would know better than to think that they can just get around this card. Be kind of funny, although wouldn't be funny for the person playing it against you. And just to give us a headache, there's 2 of these in here. I'm just saying, I see a lot of these cards on Master Duel a lot of times, but now we're in the Synchro era. Well, Synchro part of this deck, which means that the titular Black Rose Dragon is here. And it's not a shiny Black Rose Dragon, unlike the one that I had earlier, so that's unfortunate. But we do get another Splendid Rose here. Black Rose Moonlight, which is actually the manga variation of this card. And for those unfamiliar with this effect, if this card's special summoned or a level 5 or higher monster special summoned to your opponent's field, Target one special summon monster your opponent controls, including the one, or rather the one that just got through, and return that target to the hand. It's not that incredible in hindsight, but it can be helpful in a pinch. Next up we have the Garden Rose Maiden. This card I think is pretty decent enough, I should say. If this card's special summon, it adds a black garden from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And to give you even more context, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Rose Dragon monster or Dragon Synchro monster in your grave, and special summon it. So this thing basically is good for any Synchro Dragon deck. Obviously it could be good with a Stardust Dragon, Red Dragon. Actually, given what it is, it could actually bring them back. Huh. Hey, so what happens if somebody plays this deck in the Crimson Dragon deck? Huh? That would actually be... I'm sorry, Red Dragon Archfiend deck. Huh? Yeah, I think I'll try that myself. Next up we have the Crossroads Dragon, which is a Link monster. Yes, Links broke the game, but they're honestly not that bad to think about. And we got two of those. And now for the aforementioned Ruddy Rose Dragon. If this card is Synchro Summoned, you can banish all cards in the graveyard. Then if this card was Synchro Summoned using Black Rose Dragon or Plant Synchro Monsters material, well, it's just a nuke. It destroys all other cards in the field. Now, when your opponent activates a card or effect that would destroy a card, this is a quick effect by the way, you contribute this card, negate the activation, then special summon one Black Rose Dragon from your extra deck or graveyard. And keep in mind, the Black Rose Dragon in particular, its own blow-up effect cannot activate in this case because it's being special summoned outside of being synchro summoned. But you could still get it back from the graveyard after it's synchro summoned properly. So that would make sense. I guess I kind of like this. Finally, there's one more little synchro monster in here known simply as the Garden Rose Flora, which I'm not honestly that familiar with, to be honest with you. Never really seen it before. It's a light plant monster and it reads the following effect. You can target a card in the field zone and destroy it, then special summon to its controller's field one Rose token. Nope, we get those Rose tokens back, but you can't special summon other cards from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except synchro monsters. But you can only use this effect once per turn. But once per chain during your opponent's main phase, you can, quick effect, immediately after this effect resolves, you can synchro summon using this card you control. So yeah, it's one of those cards kind of like the Wonder Magician from the TG series, as well as Formula Synchron if you're familiar with that as well. It basically allows you to synchro summon during your opponent's turn. I know there are trap cards that do the same, but I don't really think anybody really cares. So, sorry. I have to ask, why didn't they just put this monster at the top of their structure deck? I don't know anymore. Listen, don't take my boredom and... So, yeah, I'm just gonna have my mouth thing here. Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna use this to talk for a little bit, but don't think I'm bored with this. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's pretty much one of the coolest games I've ever played. And I know it's usually based off of luck, but it's also kind of skill if you think about it. A lot of decks out there are pretty tough to play if you don't know how to play them correctly. So, yeah. For any beginning duelist out there, you might have an easy time. Hopefully. But let's move on. Let's open up the Ark and the Covenant for a minute. Huh. I thought there'd be a lot of angels flying out of it. Alright, but moving on to the third and final deck of this awesome looking series, we have, starting up with the Full Speed Warrior, the Yugioh structure deck. I'm glad this plastic's really the only thing that's keeping it there. I have a box for it ready to go. Wait a minute. I did have it here earlier. Seriously, how am I not keeping up with this? Regardless, I got this little case here. I'll be putting them in there. Hopefully they don't get scratched, but yeah. And for context, since I've already shown two of my structure decks earlier, although I'm going to have to show them in full length in another video, I have this. Yeah, I got a lot of cool sleeves, but let's get to it. So, this is the new Full Speed Warrior. And this thing is a level 2 warrior monster with 900 attack and 400 defense, much like the original Speed Warrior, and it reads, monsters you control that mention Junk Warrior or a synchro monster with warrior in their original name gain 900 attack during your battle phase only. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Junk Synchron or a spell or trap that mentions Junk Warrior from your deck to your hand, but you can only use this effect once per turn. I gotta admit, I kinda like how they actually gave one of the weaker monsters a good look for this. To be honest, it's actually a pretty cool retrain. But don't expect me to ever play the original unless you really want to build up on a deck that has some nostalgia in it. And I don't know whether or not this card is here and there. I'm kind of hoping to see this Assault Synchron. I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was a beak, but it turns out to be a little tiny air mask. So let's see if we can find him in there too. Regardless, and I say that a lot again, and it looks like we got another brand new monster called the Scrap Synchron. This time I'll put him all over here. I can see it from my angle. A level 1 machine tuner monster with 700 attack and 100 defense, and it reads, for a synchro summon, you can substitute this card for any Synchron tuner, but you can only use each of its effects once per turn. If you synchro summon a monster that mentions a Synchron tuner as material, this card in your hand can also be used as material. So, I guess for context, if you have a monster that's non-tuner on the field, and you have this in your hand, you could actually use this card from your hand instead of just trying to normal summon it. And if a monster you control that mentions Junk Warrior or is a synchro monster with warrior in its original name, like Road Warrior, would be destroyed by battle card effect, you can banish this card from your field or graveyard instead. So you're basically a protector of sorts. Kind of like that Salamangreat Baliix. Yeah. Next up we have another brand new card, apparently. This is what they call the Synchro Fellowship. The Fellowship of Synchro Summoning. It's a spell card that reads, adds 2 monsters from your deck to your hand, for 1 Junk Synchron and 1 monster that mentions Junk Warrior or Stardust Dragon, then you have to discard a card. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a synchro monster you control, reduce its level by 1, and then you can normal summon a synchron monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon or set. But you can only gain this effect once per turn, and you can only activate 1 Synchro Fellowship per turn. So this is basically all of the base monsters Yusei had in this anime, and he was using these for a good long while, only because Pot Armor needed it for the most. And I can honestly say, I'm kind of impressed by this effect. It's kind of like a Pot of Greed, but it's also in the sense that you have to discard a card. So it's kind of like swapping out at least a couple cards for something a little bit better. In that sense though, it kind of reminds me of that one tuner monster that's dragon type. It's kind of like one of those majestic tuners. That would be kind of essential if it ever gets drawn out. It's actually kind of funny if you can add it that way. Although I gotta kind of look at it. But it looks like now we're going to move on to the brand new Synchro monster that came with this structure deck. And this one just happens to be the brand new one featured, Junk Warrior Extreme. Yes, they apparently decided to give the original Junk Warrior an upgrade. Why? I'm not sure. Why is it that Yusei didn't play this one? Kind of funny if they did. But anyway, this card's a level 8 Synchro monster whose warrior type has 2900 attack and 2300 defense, and it requires Junk Synchron and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. And if this card's synchro summoned, you can special summon as many level 2 or lower monsters as possible from your grave, but neither player can activate those monsters' effects this turn. Also, you can special summon 1 more time this turn. Just 1 more time. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, even if it hits banishment or graveyard, you can banish this card and special summon a Junk Synchro monster from your extra deck. This is treated as a synchro summon, and you only use each effect once per turn. So, say you have something like Junk Destroyer, which I have to imagine is in this structure deck, and yeah, I probably have to look at the back for it. In fact, when I think about it, maybe I should have actually read in the back a little bit. Let's see, is Junk Destroyer in there? Apparently not. Junk Destroyer is not in here. Kind of unfortunate, really. Kind of hoped it would be. But, honestly, I'll take what I can get from it. I have plenty of Junk Destroyers on my side already. So this card basically is yet another revamped version of a warrior monster, and I have to imagine this is what Yusei could use to summon something even more powerful. But, of course, the caveat of that is you probably need to get the right position, or rather have the right cards on the field to utilize this thing more quickly. Regardless, I do love the artwork for it. It kind of looks like they combined the spell card Scrap Fist with this card, so I can honestly say that it's a good old-fashioned retrain. And we didn't just get one new Synchro monster, as apparently this next card just happens to be a new one as well. His name is the Scrap Warrior. So, this guy is a level 3 warrior synchro monster with 1700 attack and only 100 defense. Man, that's sad. And it requires Scrap Synchron, if you can believe it, and one or more non-tuner monsters, like how many more could you possibly need with this? And monsters you control that mention Junk Warrior or a Synchro monster with Warrior in its original name cannot have their activated effects negated. Except for Scrap Warrior, ironically. If this card is Synchro summoned, you can take a Junk Synchron or a card that mentions Junk Warrior from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, and you can only activate this effect once per turn. So, while I wish this was kind of like Formula Synchron, which is another cool little Synchro, I kind of think that this is honestly really good if you're trying to get a warrior-based deck going out. Though I wish it could be a little bit more protected, but again, I can take what I can from it. Besides, if you get the Scrap Synchron out, I'm sure you should be able to make use of this in a better way. And hey, it actually gets the card into the graveyard quick, so that's not even a problem. Now, obviously, from what I was hearing, this structure deck is the one that has the most new cards out of the other 3 structure decks. And this one proves it. His name is Anchorbolt Hedgehog. And if anybody's familiar with Quillbolt, yeah, that card was good for its time, but actually, it could still be good, honestly. I think there was somebody playing Quillbolt at one point and being able to abuse its banishment effects. Kind of funny the more I think about it. But much like the original Quillbolt, it's a level 2 machine, and if you control Junk Warrior or a monster that mentions it, except Anchorbolt Hedgehog ironically, and this card just happens to be in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position. And also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except Synchro monsters. This is a quick effect, but you can only use this effect once per turn. So, honestly, I can kind of see how this works out well enough. But to have it so specifically on Junk Warrior would imply that getting this guy out would basically be a little too complicated. But I'm not going to complain. At least it doesn't get banished. So try to take that with a grain of salt. Regardless, that's not the only retrain though to get the, retrain treatment. As we now have Sonic Chick, but more at a crossroads in this case. Like the original, it has the same attack stats as 300 attack and defense, and it's level 1, and it's also a winged beast. And with this card, if a tuner is sent to your grave even during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your graveyard if it was there when the monster was sent, or hand, even if not. But you have to banish it when it leaves the field. But then, if Junk Warrior or a monster that mentions it, except for this card ironically, is on the field, you can change all of your monsters that your opponent controls with 1900 or more attack to defense position. And for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon from the extra deck except Synchro monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. So, again, I'm not really sure how that's going to work against Link monsters, but I can honestly see it working against something like, say, I don't know, maybe the Fiendsmith, if you're lucky not to get negated for it. But still though, that's pretty cool looking. It's like Speed Racer if it was a tiny little bird. So, next up, for some odd reason, apparently a trap card is right here. I guess the people who were trying to organize this didn't exactly know it. Yeah, you'll see that back card in a minute. But we have a trap card now called One Way Synchro. Yet another brand new card. It's a trap, and it takes one level 1 tuner from your deck or graveyard and either add it to your hand or special summon it. But if you control Junk Warrior or a monster that mentions it, and this card is in your grave, you can set this card, but you banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use one of its effects per turn, and only once during that turn. So if you can see, Yusei just happens to be right there. He's flying. He's about to take off. That's got to be like a reference to when he was fighting against Zone from the final arc of 5D's. Honestly, that's a pretty cool reference if that's the case. But yeah, I can kind of see this working a little bit. Like, I know there's plenty of level 1 tuners out there. There's the Jet Synchron, there's the aforementioned Scrap Synchron. I can kind of see it working, so we'll give it a go. But now we get to the not-so-retrains. We have the classic Junk Synchron, which we just happen to have only 2. Oh, okay. Well, there's another card I'm actually not familiar with. His name is Wheel Synchron. Again, like I mentioned before in the other 2 times, I'm not familiar with most of the cards in this new deck. So, what does this do? Let's see. So, it's a level 5 machine tuner. Wow, that's compensating for something, I guess. With 800 attack and 1000 defense. And if this card you control is used as synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner. But, I mean, is there any way to get this out? Like, I guess you can use one of the synchro monsters for this. But, anyway, during your main phase, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 level 4 or lower monster. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except synchros. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a synchro monster you control, and reduce its level up by up to 4. I guess in some ways, this could actually be beneficial if you were playing level 8s to try to get out something like, say, Shooting Star Dragon or Shooting Quasar Dragon. Maybe there's another reason for it. Maybe that Cosmic Quasar. It's kind of funny the more you think about it. But the thing is, this guy is level 5. 5! In fact, unless it was an effect that was given to him that would allow him to be special summoned from the hand instead, I think this could work out better. But I guess it's going to depend on that one synchro monster that kind of gets synchrons out, which we'll see in a few minutes. But again, I kind of like the artwork on it. It just looks like Yusei's Dual Runner got a mechanical AI upgrade, and it just decides to run on its own. That's a funny thing to think about. Next we have Stardust Synchron, and 3 of them in that matter. It's like Stardust Dragon, but if he was made into a machine. Kind of wish there was something like that. So, next up, I was already familiar with that dragon, by the way, but I'm not familiar with this, the Revolution Synchron. I'm sure somebody would tell me that this one's expensive for some reason. But this is a level 3 machine tuner monster with 900 attack and 1400 defense, which almost kind of sounds like something that I remember before. If you synchro summon a power tool monster or a level 7 or 8 dragon monster, this card in your hand can also be used as material, but you can only use this effect once per turn. If you control a level 7 or higher synchro monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can send the top card of your deck to the grave, and if you do special summon this card, also its level becomes 1. You can only use this effect once per duel. Okay, so you're saying that 900 attack and 1400 defense sounds very familiar to me. Is that is Morphtronic Scoping? Is that the one it is? Yeah, I think that's what it is. But honestly, a pretty cool looking card. It's kind of like if Power Tool Dragon had a little baby. In fact, why didn't they just call it Power Junior Dragon? Now, I'm not thinking of it myself. No. Anyways, going on, we now have Satellite Synchron. And yes, I definitely recognize this guy. Fire in the laser! Maybe that's what Kaiba actually used against Jinzo in that one arc, featuring Virtuals. Oh, there he is! There's Assault Synchron! Now this guy is pretty interesting to talk about. Now I do know what he does, but just for those who don't know, this is a level 2 machine tuner, and it reads, during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, then take 700 damage. And while it's spaced up in the monster zone, you can't special summon from the extra deck, except for synchro monsters, ironically. Well, of course. But if a face-up dragon synchro monster you control is tributed or banished, either by kaiju or just by some ability, you can banish this card from your grave, target one of those monsters, then special summon it. So for any Lava Golem players out there, I don't think you'll want to try to do anything with this. Kind of funny. There's the aforementioned Jet Synchron, which is honestly pretty neat. And almost done. Wow, I have gone through quite a lot of coverage with this. Junk Converter. Honestly, it just seems like Junk Synchron was born with this card. And there's a couple copies of it. 3 copies of it. Oh, and there's a classic, Doppel Warrior. Time to create some more Doppel tokens. That used to be what was used back in the day with Junk Warrior. Once you summon the thing, you basically had a big old beefy monster. Next, Effect Veiler. 2 of them. And then another Ash Blossom, my goodness. And oh yeah, we got yet the 3rd Molcharmy, or maybe one of them for now. It's a cute little jellyfish. It's a level 4 aqua jellyfish monster with 100 attack and 600 defense, and much like its counterparts, it has the same after effect. So, but in this case, each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster from the hand, immediately draw 1 card. So yeah, the other effect is basically the same as the other 2. But look, it's so adorable! Where's this smiley face? Regardless, I think this is a nice little addition to the game. That's adorable. Next, it's On Your Mark, Get Set, Duel! I think I have this card myself, but for those who don't, this card is a continuous spell, and when this card's activated, if you control no other cards, you can add 1 synchro monster from your deck to your hand. Once per turn during your standby phase, you place 1 signal counter on this card. You can remove 2 counters from your field, signal counters that is, and send this face-up card to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, then send a card from your hand to the graveyard, but you can only use this effect once per you can only activate 1 of these cards per turn. So that's Yusei and Jack, just in case you're interested in understanding, or that might just be somebody different. I can't tell, but I can definitely tell that's Yusei's Dual Rider. Honestly, it kind of sounds like a fun race. Anybody who activates this in the very first turn of the duel is just going to say, Turbo Duel activated. I'm really hoping somebody does it. Oh yeah, I guess we're getting 2 starting points for that. Regardless, this is tuning here, the classic Synchron Searcher. Of course, you got to get rid of a card on the top of your deck to the graveyard to do it. See, oh, wait a minute. That's also tuning, but it's got a brand new art? Okay, that actually makes a lot more sense. Junk Synchron is the top tuner for that. Top tier. Duelist Genesis. That card's pretty cool too. Synchro Rumble. Man, I've seen this thing in Blue Eyes builds. Yeah, why is it Blue Eyes built? Well, it's simple. You can target a tuner or 1 level 7 or 8 dragon synchro monster in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position, and for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon from the extra deck except synchro monsters. But if a level 7 or 8 synchro monster or Crimson Dragon would be, if you control it, would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you could banish this card from your graveyard instead. Yeah, since the Blue Eyes deck is known for having a lot of tuners in the graveyard, you can keep bringing them, you can get that back. Like the Maiden of White or the Maiden with Eyes of Blue if you so want to be nostalgic. To be honest, it's kind of funny how that card ultimately works for it. So where is our... Oh, wait a minute. We got a new card as well. Clashing Souls. During damage calculation, if your attack position monster battles an opponent's attack position monster with higher attack, the controller or the battling monster with lower attack can pay 500 points for that monster to gain 500 attack during damage calculation only. But keep repeating the effect until the player chooses not to pay any life points. But nobody takes any battle damage after that, and if any player's monster will be destroyed by battle, send all the cards that player controls to their graveyard instead. I believe this is what Yusei used to take down Red Dragon Archfiend with his Junk Warrior. Consequently, it pretty much caused Jack to lose the duel. And then there's the aforementioned Scrap Fist. This targets a Junk Warrior you control. Just just a classic Junk Warrior. But he gets quite a lot of card power here. I'm very adamant about this. There's 1-for-1, which is also a really good card for level 1 enthusiasts, definitely Lyricuse. Scrapyard, which is basically known to add a scrap tuner from the deck to the hand, which in this case would be the Scrap Synchron. Go figure. Called by the Grave. Cross Out Designator. Man, how many times have I seen this thing in action? It declares a card name, banishes one of that declared card from your main deck, and negates the effects, as well as the activated effects and effects of the fields of cards with that same original name until the end of the turn. So, let's put it this way. If somebody's trying to use the power of Raigeki and you have a Raigeki in your own deck, you could just use this thing and negate that effect. But at the caveat of losing your own Raigeki. Kinda unfortunately. And then there's Forbidden Droplet. I'm not even going to bother to try to read this one because, quite frankly, there are way too many variables in it. Next is Synchro Zone, which is apparently another trap I've never really been familiar with. Is this exclusive? Regardless, it's a continuous trap that reads, neither player can declare attacks except with Synchro Monsters. You can only use each of the following effects of Synchro Zone once per turn. If a non-tuner Synchro Monster is sent to your graveyard, you can target one of those monsters and special summon it. If you do, it's treated as a tuner. But you can't activate this during the damage step. Now, okay, well, if a non-tuner Synchro Monster is sent to your graveyard except during the damage step. But during your opponent's main phase, you can send this face-up card to the grave, and immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro Summon using monsters you control. Well, that's another way to do it. I guess some of the other traps weren't enough. Oh, and we have Infinite Impermanence here. That makes an entire set piece. That works. Oh, and we just came down to the Synchro Monsters. We're almost done here. Looks like we have a classic Junk Warrior, but it has some brand new artwork. That's pretty cool, I guess, but isn't that on another card that we've seen before? Kind of reminds me of that Synchro spell card that takes out a card. I'm not going to worry about it for now. Here's the aforementioned Junk Speeder, which is probably a good fodder for Junk Warrior Extreme. And this thing can actually summon a lot of Synchrons from the deck, which makes sense given the context of that level 5 one we talked about earlier. And here's Yusei's classic monster, Stardust, which I always favored the shinier version, but yeah, it's nice that they included him in this deck. Next is another monster I haven't really been able to play myself, the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. Excel Synchro! Rise! It's a level 8 Synchro monster, and much like the original Stardust Dragon, it has the same attack points. But in this case, if this card's Synchro Summoned, you could special summon a level 2 or lower tuner from your graveyard. Cool. During the main phase, quick effect, you contribute this card and special summon a Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. This is considered a Synchro Summon. And immediately after this, Synchro Summon monsters you control, and for the rest of the turn, the monsters Synchro Summoned by this effect are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and you can only use each of the effects of this card once per turn. Sounds like somebody really wants to get Shooting Star Dragon out onto the field. Let's see if he's actually in there. Oh, he is. But there's the Formula Synchron, which would actually be pretty useful with this guy. So picture this. You use Formula Synchron, use him to Synchro Summon this guy by getting a level 6 out with him, and you can bring him out. Come here. Then these two can go together for the aforementioned Shooting Star Dragon. Or this guy, apparently. Stardust Warrior, who just happens to be here. I never understood his effects and I can never get it to work. But honestly, I think that's a pretty cool looking warrior. It just looks like somebody took Stardust Dragon and made him his armor. But obviously, I'm much more of a fan for Shooting Star Dragon, essentially. This thing's pretty cool. I mean, one of its great effects is if you have enough tuner monsters at the top of your deck, you can just smash your opponent a bit. But unfortunately, it wouldn't work out too well if you didn't get enough on the top. But finally, the last card to be talking about, and I'm well aware of it, is the Crimson Dragon. Look how beautiful this is. This is like the piece de resistance to any dragon deck. And I've seen this in Blue Eyes too. And for those who don't know, this is a level 12 behemoth. Yeah, it's a level 12 synchro monster. And to give you a better idea of how this is actually level 12, look at this. This is the Supreme King Zark Synchro Universe card. And this is level 12. But you wouldn't really know it because it doesn't go all the way to the edge of the image. What, were they supposed to get level 13 or something? But nevertheless, when this card's special summoned, you can add a spell or trap that mentions Crimson Dragon from your deck to your hand, henceforth the Synchro Rumble. Now, this next part is the quick effect. You could target a level 7 or higher Synchro monster on the field. Yes, on the field, anywhere, except for Crimson Dragon, ironically. You can return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon a Dragon Synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level as the targeted monster, and this is treated as a Synchro summon. Think about that. You can only use the effect once per turn, by the way. So, to give you more context of how dangerous that supposedly is, well, I'll put it this way. If you've ever heard of something like, say, Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, which has got to be the brand new Blue Eyes nowadays, yeah, use this guy to target it, and you could summon Stardust Cipher Divine Dragon. Feel free to look that up if you can. But if you want me to show what the Blue Eyes deck looks like with this guy in the deck, let me know in the comments. So, oh boy, give me just a second here. Whew. So, that was a lot of card searching. My goodness. Sorry. Maybe I don't know how many more packs I'm gonna go for in the future, but I would prefer to try to put some more content on here that would be more duel based. So I do have Master Duel for my phone. I think I could do a little bit of screen recording for that, but regardless, I hope you enjoyed this opening of the legendary 5D's decks. I'll just call them decks. So, from me and this little guy over here, which I can call him A10 Puffs right now, I'm the guy from the sky with your media info on the fly. And to all duelists, I'll see you next time. Or maybe if you happen to catch me, my name is the Jersey Angel. You'll find me on Master Duel somewhere. But feel free to put in the comments what you thought of the video, like and subscribe. And am I looking at this now? Yeah, I think I am. Alright, but anyway, thanks again, everybody. And I'll see you all next time when I get around to it. See you soon. Hey.